Hi there. So, I bought a ring light, and I figure what better way to give it a test run than by recording a new episode of Retail Chronicles. So, here we are, it's Retail Chronicles with fancy new lighting. That was really fucking stupid, I'm sorry. Anyway, here's the story. So, when I was able to get a job in education after Tuesday morning shut down, I was a substitute teacher for a while. I thought that I was finally free of working in retail, but about a year after landing the job as a substitute teacher, some life events happened, shit happens, and I had to find another job because subbing alone wasn't, enough to support myself at this time. And thus the job hunt resumed. And I found myself employed by none other than GameStop. Now, there are nowhere near as many horror stories as my time with Tuesday Morning. This isn't going to be a 3-part series that equals an hour and a half of content. No. I would definitely say that out of everywhere I've worked in terms of retail, GameStop ranks higher. Toys R Us I can't really definitively rank because I was only there for like a month, But that being said, no job in retail goes without bullshit from corporate, from customers, and from coworkers. Coworkers in this point for this job really wasn't so much. It was more so customers and corporate. But anywho, here we are, the newest installment of Retail Chronicles, and this is the story of my experience working at GameStop. As I just said, this time I really don't have any complaints about my coworkers. And for once, I don't really have any complaints about my actual direct management. My store manager and the assistant manager were really cool people that I never had any issues with, or if I ever did, they were very small, and we actually dealt with it like, adults. And, not like a bitchy man-child like the one guy from Tuesday Morning did. But unlike Tuesday Morning, I didn't really have any actual problems with my direct store manager. Alright, so for a little more context as to how I ended up here. As I said, I had been working as a substitute teacher for, about a year at this point, maybe a little less. But I also was doing DoorDash. I was selling on Mercari. This was a few years ago, so I didn't know the context of it, but I was also doing freelance stuff on Fiverr, trying to just make money however I can to pay my fucking rent. And DoorDash went south. I think there was one time where I picked up a delivery and I was literally waiting in the drive-thru for like 45 minutes to pick it up, and I told the guy who ordered, "Look, man, I'm sorry. I don't mean to screw you over, but I'm only getting like $6 for this job. This isn't worth it. I'm sorry." He was cool about it, but I couldn't keep doing DoorDash to supplement the substituting. And Fiverr was like hit or miss. Mercari was again not getting me a whole lot, so I needed to find a second job. And I think I applied 2 or 3 places, but I ended up at GameStop. So for about a 9-month period, I was working as a substitute teacher and also part-time at GameStop. I also just want to say that I'm recording this at like 12:30 at night, or 12:30 in the morning, whatever. So if I at all seem kind of tired, I'm trying to keep it as energetic as I can. But you might see a little bit of a sleepiness in me. I don't think it's going to be a lot, though. I stay up late all the time, so this should be like a cakewalk. Anyways, so I figure that we can get started talking about the customers, because for most people in our working retail, it seems like dealing with customers is like the absolute worst part, because for some reason, so many people, when they go to a store, they just lose any semblance of like common sense or common courtesy or anything like that. I know common sense can sometimes be kind of like different because people have different experiences. I understand that. But like, when I try to answer a question and I have to give you the same fucking answer like 5 times and it still doesn't register with you. Look, unless you have like, a disability of some sort, if you're really just that fucking dense, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, so the first one that comes to mind is this guy came in and bought a copy of New Super Mario Bros. For Wii. And then a couple of days later, he comes and returns it. And, no problem there initially. But then he has no fucking receipt with him. He doesn't have like a membership so I can see past transactions. And he bought it with a card, but he didn't bring the card that he paid for it with. So it's like, I told the guy, it's like, well, either, I without the receipt and without a membership to find like the transaction number or anything, I would either need you to just go get that card or I would have to process it as a trade and you wouldn't get your full money back. And he gets real pissy with me and just goes like, you could have led with that, and then walks out with his family. It's like, he's noticeably pissy. It's like, well, don't fucking blame me, man. You bought like a $40, yeah, they were still selling it for $40 at GameStop. It might be the same on eBay, but that's not the point. The point is, you bought something and then wanted to return it 2 days later with none of the important shit you needed. You didn't have your receipt. You didn't even have the fucking same card that you used to buy it. What else am I gonna do, man? There's only so much I can do in that situation. My hands are kind of tied. There was another point. I was opening, and it was the very first transaction of the day. This older guy comes in with a copy of Black Ops 3. I think it was for PlayStation or something. But he says that it was taking forever to download no matter what he did. And I tried to give him some tips that, might help it download faster. I'm like, oh, hey, did you reset your router? Maybe you could, because this is something that worked for me before I got decent internet. Maybe you could bring it to a friend's house or a family member's who has good internet, and you can install it there. Maybe see if that works. And rather than just saying like, no, man, sorry, look, I just want to return it. Because if he said that, I would have been like, yeah, sure, fine. But I gave him these tips, and he just gets pissy and goes, this store sucks. I'm not coming here again. It's like, I mean, okay, bye. I'm not going to miss you. I don't think anybody who works here or dealt with you fucking would. But it's just like, damn, dude, you get that mad over me now. And even then, I'm pretty sure this was the point where Black Ops 3 on PS4 cost maybe like $20. Maybe not new. I don't even think we had any new copies of it at that point. But, if he bought it used, it was probably no more than like $30, maybe even less than that, maybe like 25, 20, and he's getting this pissy. And again, all I did was try to give him some tips that would maybe help it download faster so he could actually play it. And I'll admit, part of the reason is that, like, I didn't want to deal with doing a return first things first in, the first 10 minutes of us being open, because he paid with cash, and I didn't want to deal with the drawer being off and all that kind of shit. Nobody wants to deal with that. But still, the fact that I was just giving him some tips to try to download it better, and he gets mad at me, like, come on, dude. What the fuck did I really do to you to get you this mad? This, man, this next one was a doozy, to say the least. So this older lady calls, and she says that there's an issue with her PlayStation Move controller that she bought online. And she says that, like, the charger wouldn't go in, and was saying that it was a standard micro USB cable like you would see in, like, Samsung phones before USB-C became really popular. It actually turned out to be one of those, like, USB mini Bs, like the ones for the Motorola phones from like the late 2000s or early 2010s. And I'm just like on the phone for like 10 minutes trying to figure it out, looking at the ones we have. And I can't figure out what the fuck she's saying, because she's telling me it's a regular USB cable, but it's not. And I know she's older, so she probably doesn't know the difference. But still, it's like when you're telling me this over the phone and I can't actually look at it when it's an actual like hardware thing, there's only so much I can do talking to you on the phone. So I say very nicely, like, I'm sorry, man, but, this is something that without actually looking at it, I really don't know what I can tell you. And then she gets all angry and goes, thanks for nothing! Yeah, it's like, the fuck? But apparently she had received one for the PlayStation 3 instead of the PlayStation 4. So either they sent her the wrong thing or she ordered the wrong one. My money's on either, honestly. But she comes in one day when I'm there, and my manager gets her the right one and does the trades and exchanges. She pays the very small difference, like I think it's like $5 or $6. She breaks it up between loose change and like 2 or 3 different cards. And this is not to shame anybody who is in a fucking bad position. I have been in a shitty position. I was in a shitty position to the point where I had to get this job to help me pay rent, even if it was barely getting me by. But I just hit my knee on the desk. But that was so tedious and annoying. Like, she's paying with like loose change and 2 or 3 different cards to cover $5, man. Like, again, I'm not trying to shame or anything. I understand that shit can be rough as hell, especially living in this capitalist hellhole. But it's just like, God damn, ma'am, please, could you have maybe like gone to the Coinstar or something, or I don't know, like just taken some bottles and cans back or something? Like, come on. Another story about an older lady. This one lady, probably like, she looked like, I don't know, maybe her 50s or 60s. She comes in and buys a used copy of Fallout 76. I mean, she kind of gave me a bit of an attitude before the actual issue anyway, so I didn't want to deal with her again. But I think maybe like a few hours after she leaves, she calls and says that it took forever to install, and then said that it needed like an internet connection and or some kind of code. And I'm just like, I don't know what to. I tell her like I'm trying to get closing, and then she goes, I'm coming over. I'm like, oh, fucking great. And this connects to another issue that I'll talk about later, but I was working alone, so I didn't have anybody else to help me out on this. But she comes in, she sees one that has a different cover and gets like mad about it, and it's like, I don't know, I don't play Fallout. I didn't have the money to be buying all these fucking games. I see Fallout's on Game Pass, but it's like, that's it. I've never really played more than like a half an hour of Fallout. It doesn't interest me all that much. But regardless, she gets really pissy, and then she keeps like demanding that I give her the code, whatever code it is, and I tell her like, I can't just take it out of another copy and give it to her, because then I'm putting somebody else in that same position. And she's getting so mad and so angry, and then I tell her that her biggest problem is most likely that she doesn't have Xbox Live, which it probably was, because I don't know how long Fallout 76 had been out at that point, but I'm pretty sure it was to the point where it was on Game Pass, and all that kind of stuff was already built into there. You didn't necessarily need like a code to get it to access this stuff anymore, or at least needed like a live connection to do it. But I tell her that, so then she returns that copy, buys another copy, like, that I'm pretty sure also didn't have this code that she was so adamant about getting, and then buys 1 year of Xbox Live. And I was so relieved when she left, because, oh my god, this lady was... I don't know if anybody watching remembers the lady from Tuesday morning who got so pissy with me and was like yelling at me in the aisle because I saw she left a bunch of shit in the aisle. And your first instinct is, oh, clean it up. Your first instinct is to clean the shit up. And then she comes back and is yelling at me. I kind of got similar vibes from this lady. It was like, I'm just trying to do my fucking job. I'm working here alone, and it's like maybe a half hour before closing, lady. Go away. Come on, man. I say this in a way as to not disparage addicts, because I know that shit is so difficult to deal with. It can have such a grip on your heart and your mind and your psyche, and it fucks up so much stuff around you and within you. I'm not disparaging addicts at all saying this, but there were a lot of crackheads around like the store that I worked at. And there was this one couple who frequented the store. They were nice, they weren't like, to use the term, tweakers in the sense that like they were always like, scratching and paranoid and shit like that. You could just, they were like crackheads. But they were also really annoying in the sense that, and this is also one of those things that gave you clues that they were doing and or selling crack or coke or whatever, is that they were constantly buying games, and then within like a week returning them. They sold like phones and Apple Watches randomly. The guy in that couple, he always wore like the same clothes, like always the same like 2 outfits, and he smelled fucking awful. And again, this isn't to disparage, but like he evidently had a place to live if he's, playing like Xbox and shit. Him and his wife, excuse me, him and his wife got an Xbox Series X. Granted, it was on like a rent-to-own thing from like Rent-A-Center or whatever, but still, they are playing games and like buying live and shit. So they have a place to live. They're obviously living somewhere and most likely have access to a laundromat. Yet the guy wears the same 2 outfits, or at least doesn't wash them frequently, because he had like this Naruto shirt that was white, and it had all the different like tailed beasts on it. I saw him come in one day wearing it, and it was like fucking brown. That's nasty. His girlfriend or wife, whatever. Oh, also he had like these rotted ass teeth. Like you could see like the enamel coming in. They were like gray. And again, this I have to keep saying this because I know somebody's gonna be like, well, and I understand there are so many circumstances that lead people into this kind of shit. But it's just when you're dealing with them all the fucking time and you're not trained to deal with them, or they I don't know. Just they were always around, and I didn't like dealing with them because it was always the same thing: buy and return, selling phones, selling all this other shit. But his girlfriend like acted like she was friends with every single person who worked there. I remember I think I maybe had like a whole weekend off because I went on a trip, and then when I come back, she's like, "Oh, we missed ya," and I mean she's just trying to be nice, but it's just like, dude, we're not friends. We're not friends. I did your boyfriend a solid one time. I think he was like $5 short on a purchase, and I'm like, you know what, man? Sure. And I paid the $5, partly just to get him out of there, but also just because like I don't know, I'm too fucking nice sometimes. But so that was kind of annoying. And apparently there was like a 10 to 15 year age gap between those two. And the assistant manager at the time, he told me how this guy one time like sold a bunch of games to pay for cigarettes for his girlfriend, who was pregnant at the time. So there's that. And I think there was one thing where she mentioned, or he said that she mentioned like, oh, I hope they let me keep this one this time because they keep taking them away. Now, again, I don't know how true this is because at least this stuff was about like the cigarettes and all that. I don't know the exact level of truth to that because I heard this, by word of mouth. It was hearsay. But I will say, I don't know, just with how they acted sometimes and how they talked, I wouldn't be shocked. Honestly, I hate to say it, but I wouldn't be that shocked. Ooh, another story about closing a loan. So I was working one night, closing a loan, and this guy comes in asking for help with his rewards account, and he seems like a perfectly normal guy. I think he's just trying to figure it out so he can get his kid something for his birthday, or because there was a specific thing that he was looking for. I don't remember exactly. But he just wanted to get help with his rewards account so he could see like his balance and I think maybe redeem like a coupon or something. So he pulls up his phone, right? Like just to show me what's going on. He opens up his browser, and the first thing on screen when he opens the browser is scat porn. This dude was just walking around freely with like photos of like women like rubbing shit on their genitals and stuff. It's like, bro, why didn't you close your browser or use incognito or something? Why the hell is this just like the first thing that comes up when you open Safari or Chrome or whatever it is you were using? That's really fucking weird. I'm not trying to kink shame or anything, but like, damn, man. Maybe if you're gonna be showing a random person your phone, don't have scat porn open. I don't know, man. Seems like a crazy idea. Okay, this one was one of the more interesting ones. So this guy, he was like a veteran or something. He called multiple times, kind of angry because he had bought like a Steam card online and he couldn't redeem it, or he was locked out of his like rewards account or something. I don't remember exactly. It's been a good handful of years, but rather than calling like the actual support line, he calls the store, which part of me understands. Yeah, we're the local store. It's where it's probably the one that he goes to the most, but it's still like, dude, this isn't something you just call one of the physical stores about. You need to actually like find some support line. And maybe he said it was like it was all automated or something, or they didn't help him, but he still kept trying to get help from us. So one day I was on the phone with him for like 15 or 20 minutes just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And I go through his rewards account from one of the terminals and, try to find his purchase history. And it's one of those things that like after I kind of realized this is just for the shit that he bought here in the store. This doesn't include anything he bought online. But I saw nothing regarding a purchase of like a Steam gift card or anything like that. And when I say that, he just yells, "What?" into the phone. And it's like, calm the fuck down. I clarified, that's just what I see. I'm pretty sure it's only for like in-store stuff. And then at that point, I just handed the phone to the assistant manager and let him handle it. And somehow he worked it out. I don't remember what happened. This guy actually came into like the physical store a few days later, I think, just to actually physically pay for a Steam card, which is the better option. Why would you, unless you're like gifting it to somebody like who lives kind of far away or something, why would you purchase a Steam gift card online for yourself to use on Steam when you could either A, just use your credit or debit card to buy the game you want, or if you don't want to have your card info on there, just go buy a gift card at GameStop or FYE or something if they have it, or whatever store might have Steam cards, and use that. I don't get buying a card online and then using it. But anyway, he apparently on the phone, he was like oversharing a lot, and it does make you feel bad for him a little bit, but it's also just like, dude, you need to calm down too. He's saying like, I'm a veteran and most of my friends are dead, or all of his friends are dead, and all I do is play guitar and play video games. It's like, that sucks, man. That really does. But just like, Jesus, you don't need to like get so worked up talking to the guy making minimum wage. Okay, so that's about all I remember in terms of dealing with customers. Maybe some more will come to mind as I, edit this eventually, and maybe there will be a part 2. Like I said, there is nowhere near as much crazy shit or infuriating stuff that happened here that as happened at Tuesday morning. But I guess there is the possibility of a part 2 for GameStop, because I was there almost a full year, and I'm sure there could be some crazy like customer interactions that I remember or anything else like that. So we'll see. But moving on from the customers, let's talk about day-to-day stuff and dealing with the business practices of GameStop. So the price of clearance items was like constantly changing and fluctuating. Because if you remember, I think I mentioned it in passing in one of the Tuesday morning videos, one of the only things that I enjoyed doing was going and finding like stuff that needed to go on clearance. I like doing that, and going and finding stuff that people missed kind of gave me something to do to keep me away from like customers or dealing with my boss. So, that's something I would do on a smaller scale because it was a much smaller store, but I would still do it here and there to try to see, oh, is this on clearance? Is this on clearance? Has this price changed? Whatever. But there would be one day where one day an item is on clearance for like, let's say it was originally like $15.99 and now it's on clearance for like $10.99. And then like 2 days later you would check the price and now it's on clearance for $12.99. How can you raise the price on clearance? Like, there were times where we would get shipments and new items would come in. They would come in marked as clearance, but they would be the same price as something that is non-clearance. And they're brand new things, so why are we getting them immediately as clearance? Unless there's some weird logistical shipping error, I don't think that should be happening as frequently as it did. Plus, clearance was just kind of ridiculous. It's already ridiculous with the weird shifts in prices, but there were times where a single dollar drop in price was considered clearance. So let's say an action figure is $20. It's $19 now, $18.99, so now it's on clearance. That's not a fucking deal at all, man. And things would be on clearance, and then suddenly they wouldn't be. I would put oh hey, these keychains are all clearance now, or one of those little Tiger Electronic handheld games that they sold for the nostalgic purposes is on clearance now. But then a month or two later, it wouldn't be. So there was no real consistency regarding prices of clearance, regarding whether something even was on clearance or not. It was just really fucky, honestly. Just to put it in the most blunt of terms, it was fucky. So kind of in the same vein, GameStop displays how inflation in the modern age is fucking bullshit. Because there would just be random price changes for multiple items, games, PC stuff, Funko Pops, collectibles, what have you. Just any random day, you would like go to close and then a bunch of stickers would print out for price changes that needed to be done like the next day before you opened or whatever. Or at least before like things got crazy the next day and things got more busy. And these changes, they were really random, man. Like, there would be like a $10 jump one day. Like, oh, this game is listed as $55.99. Now it's $65.99. But then like 4 days later, they would change it to be like $60, 60 even. And that's just a hypothetical example. I can't think of any specific ones, but I know that I saw this so much. That's why I can't think of a specific, because it happens so much. These just weird random price changes. Sometimes they would go up, sometimes they would go down, sometimes they just, they would be like, oh, there's a price change, and then it just prints out the exact same fucking price that it was. That's not a price change. Why would I need to print a sticker out for that? It was really, dude, again, just to use the most simplest of terms, it was fucky. So, it's a staple of working or even shopping at GameStop is that you are going to see stuff about the power-up rewards, the warranties, pre-orders, all that kind of stuff. We were constantly having to push that shit. And I understand that a lot of that is how they make some of their extra money. Like, it's the used game sales is where they get their most profit, and the warranties help and the pre-orders help kind of drive business up, whatever, get them more units. And the power-up rewards is also a way of giving them money. But it's like, on their own, they're all fine and dandy. But it's like, you had to keep pushing for it so much. They basically gave us a method of take no for an answer, but also don't take no for an answer. And what I mean by that is that, and this is something, I had to do this exercise like twice with the regional manager, what was it, or district manager, whatever you want to call it. Once was on like a conference call that I had to be a part of for like new hires or whatever. And then one was when he came and did an actual physical visit to the store. And when I didn't bring up that, like, because the lady bought like Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort, and when I didn't bring up that Nintendo Switch Sports was like available, or fucking offer her like a warranty or something, he had me like, and he was nice about it, but it was still like kind of annoying. He had me go through the whole thing of being like, going through where basically you just ask them everything in succession. If I ask, hey, can I get you signed up for our Power-Ups rewards? You get a $5 coupon when you sign up. You get 10,000 points upon sign up, and you get, you get more credit for your trade-ins. Every time they said no, you just had to immediately be like, okay, man, well, that's okay. Well, how about, can I get you a warranty, blah, blah. Or even just like find another thing to kind of push the power-up. Again, take no for an answer without actually taking no for an answer. It was basically just mildly harassing the customer as nicely as possible, and I hated doing it. There were times where I got my numbers fine, but there are other times where it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, man, you got to get those up. They're going to shut the store down. It's like, well, fuck. Maybe they shouldn't have such weirdly strict parameters or perimeter, whatever the fucking word is. Maybe they shouldn't have such like strict guidelines as to how many pre-orders of what specific thing we need. Because sometimes people would pre-order like Funko Pops and plushies, but for some reason they wouldn't count that towards our total pre-orders. It had to be like, no, you have to get a pre-order of this Switch game or this PS5 game. You have to get pre-orders of those. Those are important. Fuck getting, the ones for Funko Pops and plushes and I don't know what else fucking people pre-order. The fact that you would pre-order a plush is kind of, I don't know. I understand why, but it's also like you're literally just getting a fucking Charmander or a Bulbasaur or some other Pokemon. Is it that crucial that you pre-order it? It's not like some weird limited edition thing like the things like some like the pet YouTubers do. And it's like, oh hey, we're doing a campaign so you can get a plush of my bird or my dog or whatever. You're just pre-ordering a fucking Charmander, dude. You could find Charmander plushes on fucking eBay and Mercari or go to Walmart. It just didn't make sense to me. Same with the Funko Pops. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Funko Pops are all going to be in a fucking landfill one day. They are nothing more than modern day Beanie Babies, and all of their worth will be gone once the next fad of collectability comes in, regarding pop culture sometime before like probably 2030. I might be wrong, but I really fucking hope Funko Pops just go away. They're fine. I'm getting kind of heated up a little I'm exaggerating a bit, but like, I don't know, Funko Pops are fine, but it's the fact that like they're so prominent in like pop culture. It's just, I don't know, man. But anyway, our guidelines and like the fucking shit, the thresholds that we had to reach for pre-orders and warranties and reward signups were fucking bullshit. One thing that I will give to Tuesday morning that GameStop didn't do is that on Tuesday morning, I had Thanksgiving off. I didn't have to work on Thanksgiving. I had to work on Thanksgiving at GameStop. I had to do a closing. And then the very next day, I had to come in at 6 in the morning to work Black Friday. And maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I'm pretty sure I didn't receive holiday pay for working on Thanksgiving or for working on Christmas Eve. Because at Christmas Eve, you know how most places close early on Christmas Eve? Like if they close at 8, maybe they close at 6. Or if they close at like 10, they close at 8. Or they just close early at some point earlier than they normally do by at least a couple hours. Nope. On Christmas Eve, we were open until 9 p.m. And again, in terms of this consumerist bullshit culture and the consumerism that has been driven into the holidays, I get it, because it's like they want to be open for all these last minute gifts. Oh, I need this game. I need a gift card. I need this Funko Pop, whatever. I get it in terms of, capitalism and consumerism. But in terms of like, dude, I want to just go over to my parents' house and fucking relax or something and just spend some time with my family, I don't fucking get it at all. It's bullshit. It's Christmas Eve. It's a Sunday. Why are we open until 9 p.m.? Come on, man. And like I said, I didn't get holiday pay for working Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve. Or New Year's, I think, for that matter. I don't think most places do holiday pay for working on New Year's. But it's still just like, what the fuck, man? This next part, it's something that while I appreciated getting, it was also kind of like kicking me in the face. Or, it was a pain in the ass at the same time. So I was called in to work extra shifts on several occasions. And, when you're when it's a part-time job and you're working like 2 different part-time jobs, subbing was per diem, and you're doing all this other shit just to try to make rent, extra shifts sound nice, right? And sometimes they were. But, it was a little hard to balance when, one day is kind of per diem. It's like you'll get the notification that the job is available the day before it comes up. Or like GameStop, I'll get like the call to like take an extra shift. So there were times where like GameStop kept me from getting subbing gigs, either because like, typically it was because they called that I was scheduled on like days where I could have subbed. And again, this wouldn't have been an issue if I was scheduled to come in like later in the day. But school gets out around, I don't know, some places get out at like 2, some get out at 3, 4. It all depends on where you are. The school I was subbing at gets out at around, 3 o'clock. There were times where I would be scheduled to work from like 11 to 2. So I couldn't even take like a half day in the morning or something. If I wasn't scheduled to come in until like 2 o'clock, I could still work like a half day subbing in the morning and then come into work. But no, I got screwed out of working a full day of subbing and getting paid significantly more for going to work for 3 hours at GameStop getting paid minimum wage. Like, fuck, man. And again, same with like the calling in for extra shifts. It was hard to balance that when I'm also doing this per diem work and shit. Like, I don't think I got like a legitimate day off for maybe like 3 weeks at one point because I kept getting called in for extra shifts on like my days off. And it's like, yeah, it'll help with money, but it's like literally I'm on this huge fucking grind. I'm doing freelance work. I'm, going to different like fucking places and picking up bottles and cans for God's sake, just to get a little more money to pay my fucking rent or my phone bill or something. I'm doing like survey junkie and stuff, doing all this online like cashback stuff just to get me by. And it's like, I'm tired, man. And yes, I could have said no, but A, I was fucking broke, and B, sometimes I can be a people pleaser. So I kept saying, yeah, sure, I can come in and work, a 4-hour shift or whatever on what was supposed to be my day off. I think there were only like 2 times where I said I couldn't. And one of those times is because I was at a party that my friend was having, and literally like 20 or 30 minutes before my boss had called me, I had taken like 3 edibles. So I told her like I would, man, I totally would. I just took like 3 edibles though like half an hour ago, so I don't think I'd be of any help to you. And she was cool about it. She laughed and was like, "Okay, man, have fun, have fun." So that was the other thing that was nice, is that my boss, we were like around the same age. She was maybe like a year older than me, but it's like, just goddamn. I wasn't against extra shifts per se, but sometimes I just wanted a full fucking day off, or to pick up more subbing gigs where I would get paid more. Because where I was subbing, per diem, it was like $100 per day. Still not a lot more hourly when you break it down, but still $100 for 1 day work doing a pretty easy job, or work 3 hours in retail, only making like about the same hourly, but also getting less overall. It's a no fucking brainer, dude. It was a very stressful time in terms of trying to get days off and balancing these 2 jobs on top of all the extra freelance, extracurricular shit I was doing to try to just get by. I've mentioned before that I was like opening and closing alone a lot, and apparently that's really common when you work at GameStop. It is not uncommon to work a closing shift, or even like an entire like whole day shift, or like a full 8-hour shift, whatever, completely alone. Maybe you'll get like somebody coming in for like a 3-hour so that you can go take a fucking lunch. But I do remember there was one time I worked like an open to close. Nobody else came in. I closed the store for like a half hour so I could go run really quick down to one of the fast food joints near me, come back, eat really fucking fast, and then get everything reopened. And I keep like making a weird squeaking noise. Whatever. And it was annoying because literally I went to go leave to get my lunch, and then some guy was like, "Oh shit, I was gonna go in and get a pre-order." So it's like, well, great, because nobody else is fucking here. I missed out on something that would have helped me maybe get like a pay raise or whatever. Probably not, knowing GameStop, but still, that would have helped me look better for fucking management and the regional manager and all that. And there was one day, a former employee came in, and he was telling all these other stories about like how he was about like interacting with the crackheads and pissing them off or whatever, and dealing with like the regional manager. He said that one day when he was working alone, he got fucking mugged. I can't remember if it was he himself got mugged or the store got robbed. It was one of the two, but either way, it's like, Jesus Christ. I know that having a second person on isn't necessarily going to really curtail that kind of stuff, but it can't hurt, man. Like, Jesus, especially when, again, in this area where it wasn't like, it's not a terrible area, but, when there's still like a good handful of fucking like sketchy people and like drug trafficking. Again, I don't know the extent of it. I know there's not like a giant industry around this area, but like, damn, would have maybe helped him a little bit to have a second person on or something. Jesus Christ. Excuse my voice too. Like I said, I keep making like a weird like squeaking sound, like a very small one, because like my throat's just getting so coarse from all this talking and getting kind of hyped up. But one more thing, people would like try. This kind of fits into customers too, but this was also just shit we all dealt with. People would try to sell filthy fucking consoles, and I mean, if there's a little dust here and there, some marks or whatever, we don't care. If it's something that we can easily clean off, not a big deal. But there are times where people come in bringing things that were like caked in dust. Like we had like this It was like a motorized thing of like compressed air or whatever. I don't know how to explain it. But it was like, you would blow that in the USB ports and all the crevices and shit. And there were times you would be doing that for like 10 minutes just to get like one part of the console clean. And I mean, when we took those ones and we made sure that we like marked them as defective so that we could just like clean it a little bit and then stick it in the bin to get shipped off to the warehouse to be repaired or refurbished, whatever. But like, no, I didn't like that shit. It was nasty. Apparently, I think one or two times people actually came in and like tried to sell ones that had like bugs in them. It's like, no, fuck right off with that. We had one time this guy, he came in regularly and he seemed like an okay guy, but he was always wearing like an Ahigo hoodie. You know, like the hentai, the anime thing of the girls who stick their tongues out and go cross-eyed or whatever so they look all horny, like they're, whatever. If you're a degenerate or you've just been on the internet in general, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But he tried to sell a PS4 with the hard drive taken out. He had it with him, so technically he had a complete PS4, but the hard drive was separate. He took it out to try to sell it like that, and I don't think we ended up buying it. I can't remember. I don't think it got bought because my manager had to like make the call to the district manager to see like, hey, can we even take this? But again, I'm pretty sure we can't because you need to just, you need to give us a full, regular, good condition console that it has all the cords and has a controller. And, to try to expand their business, GameStop would also, they would buy phones and iPads and Apple Watches and tablets, and it was just so annoying, dude. Like, half the time the machine just would not work. People would come in with, like, devices, and they don't know the passcode or anything, and it's just, like, it's a whole clusterfuck. I spent 45 minutes once trying to help a guy sell an iPhone. I think I can't remember if we actually were able to do it that day, but it's like that it took that long because either A, it kept getting locked and he had to keep putting the code in, or it was like, I don't know, something was just fucking up. The machine might have been fucking up. I can't remember, but that it took that long just to sell an iPhone. Like I hated it, dude. And you could either give it on like a card, like a Visa vanilla card or whatever. You could either put it on there or you could do cash. And it was really fucking annoying when people would ask for cash and they would get like $300 back because, well, shit, there's $300 taken out of the safe. So now we have to fucking worry about getting that balanced again and taking it and getting more cash in and shit. It's just like, god damn, man. Oh, and again, this is one that I'm not going to be mean about. I'm going to try not, Jesus Christ, man, stop stuttering. I'm going to try not to be mean about it. But there was this one guy, and you could clearly see he wasn't all with it. He probably had some kind of like developmental disability or something. And he wanted to trade in an Xbox. But when you trade in one, he tried to do it with one of those like Power A controllers. You know, the aftermarket controllers that you can buy that are like, corded, because Xbox for some reason only has the rights to do the wireless controllers with their console alone. Only Microsoft can make those. So we kept saying, dude, look, so we can't, you gotta have like an actual like Xbox controller that like is first party. It can't be third party. And he kept going around trying to be like, can I use this one? Like he would grab like a Switch controller and a PS4 controller and like the grips. It was in like a box, so maybe that's why you didn't see it, but it was like a box that had like the performance grips you could put on a controller. And it's just like, dude, no, we can't take it unless you have like an actual Xbox controller. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to get into any trouble or shit with my boss or anything just because you don't have the right equipment, man. I'm sorry. And I don't know, just selling stuff sucked. It really did. I think there was one time a guy came in and he had to like buy an HDMI cord from us just so he could sell his PS4. And it's like, I don't know what the point of that is, dude. Why wouldn't you just like maybe go home and dig around for one or something? I don't know. Just selling the consoles because they could be so filthy, or people would come in with like missing cords or having no controller or anything. And this is all things that you can find out that you need by going on the website or even just like calling in advance or something, man. But it was just like doing all that shit and the machine to sell like the phones and the iPads and Apple Watches. I'm pretty sure that they even took like AirPods, which I don't understand why we couldn't trade in like headsets for gaming, but for some reason they could sell AirPods that go directly in your ears and get coated in fucking earwax. Meanwhile, okay, yeah, a gaming headset might get a little sweaty sometimes, but it's not gonna have earwax in the fucking speakers of it. I don't know, that didn't make sense to me either, but whatever. Well, as far as I can tell, that's about everything I've got for working at GameStop. Like I said, if anything else comes to mind and it's more than just like 2 or 3 little bullet points, maybe a part 2 of this will come out. Maybe. We'll have to see. But for now, this is just going to be a one-time installment because I only worked here for like maybe 9 or 10 months, so I don't have too many stories, but I had enough to at least do this. And again, if anything kind of that escaped me comes back, and there's enough to justify making another video, maybe we'll see it. But yeah, so this has been another installment of Retail Chronicles. Again, I made this on a community post, I just haven't had the time with other like writing projects and stuff and life things to actually do like a serious scripted video. So I figure, hey, at least this way I'm putting out something. It's something that I like. It's something that's, a little more casual and just lets me show you a little more of my, my regular personality. So I figure, fuck it, let's just do this. Let's just do a Retail Chronicles. Again, this is a limited series because, again, there's only so many times I can tell a story. So there might be like one more GameStop video, or maybe I'll try to like compile anything that I might have forgotten from Tuesday morning, Toys R Us, and here, and do like one kind of supercut of like, oh, here are random retail stories as like a grand finale. And I did work as a groundskeeper for a few weeks in between GameStop and this other job, so maybe I'll make a video talking about that. I only worked there for like a few weeks because I just needed work desperately. But we'll see. We will see. Okay, my throat's a little sore. My voice is kind of hoarse because I've been talking for about a little over an hour now. So I'm just going to wrap this up. If you like the videos that I do, if you like this kind of content or my more serious ones or, be sure to like the video, subscribe, comment, share it around. All that kind of stuff is greatly appreciated. If you want to help me in a way beyond that, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee where you can, donate, you can do one-time donations, or you can become a member for as little as $1 a month. Yeah, that is about it. My name is Jymee. Thank you for watching, and Free Palestine.